Today we're talking about this game. It's from the 1930s, I think 1938. It's Charlie McCarthy's question and answer game. This is a real gem. Look at this thing. This is very old. I want to zoom in though, because I want to show you the way that they used to do the artwork on these things. Just is super cool when you zoom in. So let's get in real tight and let's let this thing. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. It's like that comic book. I don't know what they call that, but I think that looks super cool with all the little dots. All right. So this is an interesting one. Spoiler alert, I don't find this one very fun. It says Charlie McCarthy's question and answer game. So apparently question and answer games were a very popular thing at that time in the 30s. And they were used as icebreakers for people. People would have like a dinner party. You'd bring out your Charlie McCarthy question and answer game or a different question and answer game, and you'd hand out the cards, and people would do this. So it says here, look, we got the copyright date. Let's get in tight here. Copyright 19. Does it say 38? I figured it was 38 because that was. Wait a minute. 1938 by McCarthy Incorporated. Yeah, 1938 was the biggest year for Charlie McCarthy. So Charlie McCarthy, Edgar Bergen was a very famous ventriloquist. His daughter was Murphy Brown, by the way, Candace Bergen. But her brother was Charlie. Charlie was a puppet. His personality, you've probably seen one. They're pretty common at garage sales, and a lot of people have them. There's one with a little pull string. It was a very common gift. If a kid wanted a puppet, they usually got Charlie McCarthy. But in 1938, on the radio, Edgar Bergen was a ventriloquist on the radio. Just want to let that sink in for a minute. The most popular show on the radio prior to television. This is 1938. TV wasn't in people's homes until really like the 50s, late 40s. But so before that, people tuned into the radio and they listened to a ventriloquist, a man with a puppet. And Edgar was not the best ventriloquist. Ventriloquism is where you have your puppet and you go, I just want you to go in the room. Bergen's mouth would always move, and Charlie would always make fun of Edgar Bergen for it. He'd always be like, "Hey, why's your mouth moving?" Charlie McCarthy's personality was he was rather obnoxious. He was very funny, very quick-witted. W.C. Fields and Charlie McCarthy did at least one movie together, and the gimmick was that they hated each other. Also, when they were on radio together, they would argue with each other and insult. And Charlie would say to W.C. Fields, "Is that your nose, or are you eating a tomato or something?" So anyway, so this is Charlie McCarthy during the height of his fame. Here's the back of the box. Look at that. And so that's a sketch of Edgar Bergen. Edgar Bergen since passed away. His last work that he did was the Muppet movie. So if you ever see the Muppet movie, he and Charlie are the judges for the fashion show. They had also been on an episode of the Muppet Show, which is like at that time was like mind blowing. It was like the famous puppet from the earlier generation together with Kermit, and so it was like two generations coming together. So here is the question and answer game. So let's see what's in the box. You got plain, ordinary box, no text on the inside, no instructions, but you'll see we don't really need them. So put this here. So we have a nice little background to put our cards on. So we have two decks of cards, and this rubber band feels like it's been on there since the 30s. So we'll start with a question card. And then we're going to get to an answer card. So if we were at this dinner party, it's 1938. I pull out my question and I say, "Someone told me, Charlie, that we all sprang from monkeys, but you didn't spring very far, did you?" And so then you would retort with your answer card, which says, "Bergen, you'll have to forgive me. I'm just a shadow of my former shelf." So the shelf is made out of wood. And he, a puppet, also made out of wood. All right, let's do the next one. This is all this is, by the way. Don't tune out, though. There's a big surprise at the end. You'll never believe it. Charlie, do you really believe that love is the greatest thing in the world? Charlie, Edgar Bergen's getting a little personal. And he says, I refuse to answer on the grounds that it might incriminate you. Okay, sometimes they don't line up. Let's see the next one. And these would be shuffled. You would do these at random. There would not be an order. All right. Tell me, Charlie, does the teacher ever keep you after school? Let's zoom in a little bit. Be a little tighter here. Nice. And then you put, and they actually side by side look really good because they're looking at each other. And he says, in order to get an answer on that, Bergen, you'll have to pull a few strings. So yeah, Charlie would often admit that he was a puppet, and there you go. All right, let's do some more. Charlie, do you know, Charlie, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? We all went to first grade. We all know that one. All right. Bergen, if I wasn't sitting on your knee, I'd mow you down for that. So help me. Wow, it's a response. I don't really, it wasn't really called for. I just like to think that in some alternate universe, Edgar Bergen asks him how much wood a woodchuck could chuck, and then Charlie McCarthy kills him. Just flat out murders the man. Cause of death? He asked how much a woodchuck could chuck wood. If a beautiful girl called you up and asked you to go to dinner, would you go? Ooh, let's see. I'm going to pick one. I'm going to do it instead of just taking the top one. I'm going to pick one out of the deck. So we'll take this one right here. And let's see. Ooh, the reveal. Dun, dun, dun. So, beautiful girl called, asked Charlie to dinner. Would he go? Mr. Bergen, I may be just a chip off the old blockhead, but sometimes I do pine to look spruce. Well, I guess he'd dress up. He'd dress up for his date with the young lady. All right, let's do one more. We'll do it in the Jeopardy style. How do you suppose I got that glassy stare in my eye? Well, this one actually, the answer is a question. And then his question to the answer would be, does the moonlight have a strange effect on your emotions, Charlie? So one thing I never liked about Jeopardy is the in the form of a question thing. The answer is this 19th century philosopher was the first one to invent buttercream. Who is Buttercream? Dr. Buttercream. All right. Does the moonlight have a strange effect on your emotions, Charlie? Uh-oh. That's it, Bergen. Give me the axe and let the chips fall where they may. So many of these cards were designed apparently for Charlie McCarthy to kill Edgar Bergen. So that is it. I have shown it to you. This is a question and answer game. This is a card game. It's not a board game because there's no board. But it does have cards, and that's all it has. And, this thing, 1938, still around all these years. Smells like World War II and, the 1970s. Ooh, I can smell Woodstock. It's all in there. All right. Well, that's it. I'll see you next time. Make sure to like, subscribe, and everything else. Tell a friend, and let's go say goodbye.